Ladies and gentlemen, Caravan fans, welcome back to Built on Dante, Mount Carmel's official podcast. My name is Matt Malloy, going to be your host today, along with Christos. Christos, how you been, man? We're getting to the end of the year. Things are winding down, and we have a pretty special guest today who was in our position just a few years ago.
Yeah, Matt, winding down, like you said, getting ready for these finals exams. But more importantly, right now, Kevin Jacobs is in the building. Kevin is class of 2023. It sounds weird to say now. He's graduated, but just finished his freshman year at University of Illinois. He's an Evans Scholar, so very good with that. Kevin ran cross country here, played a little lacrosse, ran a little track. But Kevin, how about let you speak for yourself here? How you doing, man?
Fellas, it's great to be back. Great to see Mount Carmel. Great to be back as an alumni. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's head right into it. So, well, let's just talk, right? 1 year of college done. How's it been?
It's been really good. It's definitely different, and it takes some adjusting to. The Evans has been great, making that adjustment a lot easier, but definitely is a different learning experience from high school. I learned that, really quick. But, college is very different, but Mount Carmel prepared me well, and so I think I'm doing pretty all right.
Yeah. So, yeah, Evans, I think, trying to think, did you have any other Evans Scholars with you? You might have been.
It was just me in the class
Right.
for Evans Scholars in terms of
Yeah.
coming from Mount Carmel. But, every Evans Scholar kind of, although, different from different high schools, everyone's going to, the same universities, so we got a good group around them.
Yeah. I know this year I think we have 4, right? We got
two this year.
Two this year. Ryan Walsh, who caddies at Beverly, and then
Amir Davis.
Amir Davis,
Sorry,
yeah.
I was blanking.
And he's
I wrote an article about
Yeah.
it. I don't know why I blanked there, but yeah.
He's and then Amir's going to U of I.
He's
right?
going to U of I.
Yeah.
Ryan is going to Kansas. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
When I interviewed them, they seemed pretty excited. Amir isn't even an honors caddy yet, still an A caddy, and so it's kind of it's a very special thing for him. Amir has 2 older siblings that got it too, so it's kind of in the family for him. And then Ryan's a Beverly kid, like a lot of kids here at Carmel, so they're kind of the same footsteps you were last year, just kind of picking their school. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Amir visited U of I probably a good month and a half ago, and then I saw him again as well for a New Scholar Day at University of Illinois at the Evans House.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he's really excited, and we're happy to have him.
Yeah. Yeah, if I remember correctly, you're looking into civil engineering, I think.
I'm doing construction management in the it's kind of engineering technology. It's not in the College of Engineering, but it's kind of like a co-op with the College of Engineering. But I'm having a great time in the construction management program. It is kind of more direct of what I want to go into. It's a little bit more hands-on as well. I will be taking civil engineering classes, but it's not in that full program, which I'm fine with. It's exciting stuff, even though I was intending civil engineering, but now that I'm in the construction management program, I'm happy to be there.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. Yeah, let's keep rolling with this. Talk about everybody probably knows you from cross country, right? You're kind of, captain, right? Ran all 4 years. I'm just trying to think. Well, first off, are you even running now on your own?
Actually, actually I have. I just ran a half marathon.
That's awesome.
About 2-3 weeks ago at Illinois, and it was a great experience. I did it with, I want to say 4 other Evans Scholars,
Nice.
which it was great to have them. Not even just to train with, but just to talk about training with.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, naturally, I've been running a while, but I didn't take training as seriously as I wanted to for that marathon, but still got a result that I was happy about. So besides that, though, and since then I haven't been running, and it is hot, so it's going to take some motivation for me to get back out there. But, the half marathon was a great experience at Champaign, and they really know how to run a good race there.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that's on my bucket list, a marathon. When it's all said and done, I want to be able to do a marathon. I know
it's a great milestone.
Yeah, I've talked to people, and I don't, I run, but I don't like it at all. It's definitely something, not a good relationship there. But it's tough, man. That's a lot of training. I've talked to people who've done it. I've talked to people who didn't prepare as well and how brutal it was. And I've talked to people who, trained for a few months and like it wasn't that bad. You can get a decent time, especially here in the Chicago Marathon. So, you looking into doing that maybe?
Definitely want to do a marathon soon, and soon being like, I don't know, next 3 or 4 years. I do want to run another half marathon and get like a better time I'm a little more proud of. Granted, I am proud of the time I did get, but I know I can do better. So definitely want to run another half marathon, but from there, 26.2 miles is, it'd be awesome to say that I've run a marathon. So definitely on the bucket list for sure.
Yeah, down in the cornfields of Champaign.
Oh my gosh,
dude.
it's actually like not bad. It's pretty flat
Yeah?
running there, and although the wind gets pretty bad because it's not a lot of buildings like in
Right.
like running the
Yeah.
Chicago Marathon to block the wind. So the wind's bad, but the slope is not too bad.
Yeah, I know. I've got some family members that have done Ironmans. I see them walking around. They've got like a tattoo on their leg or their arm or something. That's like, I honestly don't even know what it exactly is, but I know it's swimming, biking, and then running. So a marathon is part of it.
Yeah, marathon's contained in Ironman, which is
Yeah.
just insane for me. I've been a runner for almost my whole life, and I haven't really biked or swam, so that
Yeah.
that kind of makes me nervous a bit. But running I can do, but the fact that a marathon is contained inside of a whole race is just insane to me.
Yeah.
Super cool that someone could do that.
Yeah, I was just talking to Mr. Tabernacle. We had the walkathon, ran it and everything, and he said when he was here at Carmel, so that would have been '02.
Mm-hmm.
There were two brothers. I think their last name was Norris, and they were training to be Navy SEALs. And so every year for the walkathon, they'd use that as like their training. They would swim the first half and then run the second half, and they'd still win it like every year. Like
That is amazing.
it's just
I don't
dude,
get
like
that.
swimming. You gotta like to swim at that speed
Mhm.
and be able to beat everybody that's running. Like that's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. And one of them went on to be a Navy SEAL. So
I would hope so. If
mean,
they're swimming that
yeah.
fast, that is
Right, yeah.
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, I know there were a couple Navy SEALs around that time that came here to Mount Carmel, or guys that were going to be Navy SEAls. Mr. Bax actually talked about that on the podcast a few weeks ago, how at fight night he went up against a kid that eventually
Mhm.
became a Navy SEAL.
yeah.
So it's funny stories like that. But that's unbelievable, swimming the walkathon. I ran it for the first time this year. That's unbelievable to swim down Lake Michigan for that far.
my,
yeah,
yeah.
and keep that same pace too.
No,
Yeah.
I loved running the walkathon. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I did it. Well, I didn't have a walkathon my freshman year because of COVID, because everything
yeah.
was shut down. But I ran every walkathon after that, and I loved it because I was running anyway from cross country season, so I think it's just. Or wait, no, because it's in the spring, so that's actually for lacrosse season. I was kind of in shape anyway. But it's really satisfying running the other direction when everyone else is walking,
Yeah.
the other way. So it's kind of, cool to be that far ahead, and then you get to leave as soon as you're done, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my freshman year, we ran it together. I remember. I think we were like, pretty much neck and neck.
Oh,
the
yeah, we
whole
were.
way.
That was a
Yeah,
great
that was
run.
that was a good run there. I had a good run this year too. Freshman man, wrestler Evan Stanley. He's got jets.
Really?
He was pacing me. He thought I was pacing him, but he was giving me a good run. So it's always fun to do though. Matt here came in like, what was it, 8th, 10th?
Yeah, I think 10th.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's
that,
good, man.
I was
Mhm.
running
Yeah.
on the way back, and my uncle Dan O'Connor, he told me I was the 10th guy, and that was kind of my goal, was to stay around the top 10.
Love that.
I also wanted to beat Doyle, because before the race, Doyle wanted to place a bet that he could beat me, so
Yeah.
I made sure to get past him, and I did. But yeah,
Love that, yeah. No, my senior year, I think it was TJ Kolke was, I think,
Yeah.
my biggest competition there.
Oh yeah,
But I think I had the momentum in me just because it was my senior year, and I was able to, I think get him by at least a few seconds. So I was happy to get a good, for me that's a good lead because he was always competitive with me in cross country.
Yeah.
So I was happy to beat him at the longer distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about Mount Carmel, you looking back, you're from a Carmel family.
Mhm.
I know, you get brothers, dad. I mean, how many brothers you had come through here?
I had 3 older brothers
Yeah.
come before me. My dad graduated in the class of '86. I also have 4 uncles who came before me as well.
Jeez. Yeah.
One of which married into the family, which is one of my dad's best friends, so that's kind of cool as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was always, I always came to Mount Carmel football games, came to see my brothers in volleyball, my other brothers in cross country as well. So I was always coming to Carmel, and it's not like, it's funny because, it's not like I was forced into it. It's just I just never thought I'd go anywhere else.
Mhm.
And, going through Mount Carmel and kind of finishing up the legacy for the family, for the immediate family at least, it's all positive experiences looking back.
Yeah. And you're pretty far ways out west too in LaGrange.
Yes.
So how was that kind of being the only guy out there going to Carmel? Like, was it, obviously you had family going there, but how
Mhm.
was that for you?
Yeah, there was probably my entire time at Carmel, probably besides my senior year, there was still, you know, three other guys, out there in that same area in like LaGrange, Grange Park, Brookfield area. But my freshman sophomore year, I would take the train into Union Station, and the Carmel shuttle bus picked me up from there. So that was always kind of an uncomfortable commute.
Yeah.
It's always it was never too long with the train and with the bus. It's just waiting for it, and the times never matched up perfectly. And Metro's got its own problems every once in a while. But my junior senior year, I actually got carpooled my sophomore and junior year, and then my junior and senior year I was able to drive myself, which was great. And the traffic on I-55 is pretty brutal at all times, and then with the Obama Center being built, it's made it even worse after I got off Lakeshore. But luckily, for me, the trip was always worth it, so I didn't mind. But the hour in traffic going home was never
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Kenzo, Matt Kenzinger, one of your good friends,
Mhm.
same class year. He said that was kind of his favorite part of his Mount Carmel experience.
Really?
Yeah, they posted a video, I think, for Giving Tuesday or something like that.
Mm.
They just asked kids like what their favorite part of the MC experience was, and Kenzo was always about that ride home, that ride there and stuff. So he actually drove me for a while there.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah.
gonna say I
remember
know a
that.
lot of Carmel guys got a good carpool, so if they're with the good group of guys, could be good experiences for
Mm.
sure.
Yeah. I've definitely had some good memories on
Oh, yeah.
car rides there and back, and yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's always interesting.
Definitely an interesting part of Mount Carmel right there.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, just thinking about it too, right? There's so many good games that you've had through your career at Mount Carmel. Different, whether it's walkathon too, or just different events revolving around the school.
Yes.
What are some of your favorite memories at Carmel?
Honestly, I would say some of my favorite memories were Kairos, which I can't talk too much about,
Right.
assuming that students will be listening to this. But Kairos is just one of my favorites, just because of the bond that even though it's in your senior year, you're still building that bond with your brothers in Carmel, and it was just such a positive experience to get away from school for a few days and to just be with your classmates, even if they're not your best friends. You're just building up that relationship even more. And Kairos, I led Kairos twice. I did junior Kairos my junior year in March, and I had a great experience every time. I just loved Kairos. Probably besides that, walkathon definitely was one of my favorites. Being a runner, seeing everyone, get active and run our same route that we would for cross country practice was just fun to see. Also, of course, like fight night and that environment
Oh,
is
yeah.
amazing.
Mm.
And probably, honestly, football games were just
Yeah.
one of my favorites
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on Kairos. I just went in the spring. That's definitely my favorite experience so far. I'm gonna try and lead in the fall. But yeah, you're right. Like going into senior year, I honestly think like going in the April Kairos is like the best option if you're able to, 'cause you kind of go into senior year with like a renewed appreciation for not only the school but just like everybody in your class, whether you barely know them at all or you're best friends with them. Like you kind of go into it like, all right, it's our last year together. Like who cares about if you're playing football or if you're the smartest kid or whatever. Like let's all like walk out here shoulder to shoulder. That's kind of what I got out of it anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kairos for me, it was always a question mark before because my brothers went on it and they loved it. I know my brother Andrew led. I think my brother Tommy led as well. Actually, maybe all three of them led, but I know that Tommy and Andrew were, like the directors on Kairos, where they were leading the leaders. And it was always a question mark because my brothers would be talking about it, and I'd be wanting to, listen in. They'd never let me, they'd close the door or whatever it was, and so I just never knew what it was going into it. And of course, the rumors that people start as well are hilarious
Yeah.
that I love for
Yeah.
Kairos. But just I think Mount Carmel does a great job with that. It is a graduation requirement, but I know a lot of people kind of dread it going into it, but almost everyone comes out with a positive outlook on Kairos, and I just think it's such a great experience, especially for young men.
Yeah. And obviously right now we're having or approaching our election for class president. You were class president yourself. You had,
Mhm.
you had your Instagram takeover and your posters and all that.
Yes.
I don't know if you've been watching the Instagram, but we already gone through 2 days. You have any thoughts on the current campaigns and strategies?
I mean, of course, I've supported Demas Man from the beginning. I will, put that out there. It was a lot of fun seeing the Instagram takeovers. I did student council for 4 years, and I liked, being a part of it. And I liked, even just like setting up for like, pep rallies and Spirit Week and that whole you know, floor hockey, basketball, all those events. I loved doing it, all 4 years, and then senior year as well when I was actually, more organizing things and talking with, faculty members and administration. I had a great experience doing it. Looking into this election, though, Demas Man is, if I was here, that's who I would be voting for sure.
That's good stuff. That's good to hear for me, anyways. Um, I guess too. Like, what do you think's the most effective way though to make a great campaign
That's a
at
good
Mount
question.
Carmel in particular?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you look at other schools, it's totally different with the
Yeah.
way they run things, and just the student body. It's a different audience, I guess. So if you want to appeal to the Mount Carmel student body, what's the most effective way to run a campaign?
Definitely. I mean, Mount Carmel was definitely different for that. My campaign wasn't very involved. It was, I don't know, pretty. I kind of sat back for my campaign. I, talked to as many people as I could, of course. And it is different because you think at a really big school it'd just be a popularity contest, right? But at Carmel, which is a more intimate setting, it is a little bit about who you know, of course,
Right.
but just kind of knowing as many different groups as you can. Being involved in as many different groups as you can is really good for you, especially at Carmel where everyone's involved. If you're involved in as much as you can be, people just knowing you and knowing you're reliable is good. So that's just kind of foundational. When it comes to campaign though, I know Mount Carmel students like a laugh. If you can make them laugh, that's a good thing for sure. I don't think I did so much in mine, but I mean it was a little bit more laid back in my election, I think. I'm really happy to see the very involved campaigning though happening here.
Yeah. I mean, as somebody that's not really involved this year with the election, I know Christos, you're obviously running. A lot of our friends are involved, either VP or running. The four guys we have this year are like extremely diverse, like with what they're involved in, with who they know, with how long they've been here, like involved in things. So I'm really excited. I don't think anybody has it locked down. I don't. I know. We talk about it a lot, and between these four guys, anyway, it's up for grabs.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you. It was just Kenzo. Or no, it's Stone
Yeah.
Burke also went against you.
Mhm.
But here, right now we've got 4 different campaigns going. I feel like it's more competitive too than I've ever seen it, which I think is awesome. Like everybody's scrambling for any vote they can get. Like it could be one kid, and it's like, that means the world. So, I think the environment right now with the election is great. Just the random posters you'll see too. Like there's, there's obviously like the regular posters everybody putting up, and then there'll be like just one random one. Like you might just like walk into the bathroom or something. And it's like wow, didn't see that, but
Good for student morale, definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
it's definitely good for
Yes.
student morale.
Which
So
is something that is needed for this fall. 'Cause
Yeah.
we've got 6 home football games.
oh yeah,
A couple of them are, big, like, game of the week type situations. So
Love
we
that,
need kids
yeah.
there, yeah.
talking about student morale. I was just thinking too. Talking about football, talking about basketball. One game in particular for basketball sticks out to me for like school spirit wise. It was Brother Rice
So, yeah.
retiring Tracy Abrams' jersey. we all had the I don't know what you want to call them, like the rally banners or what.
The towels?
The
Towel.
towel,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
towels, yeah.
If you want one, Grandma O'Connor is selling them in the spirit store. Just
Yeah.
a plug, by the way. But yeah, go ahead.
Hey, that's great. Check out the Spirit Store. Get
Yeah.
yourself a towel with built on Dante on it.
Yep.
So I still have mine, but I just remember, we probably had 250 kids, whatever, something like that. Matt obviously was on the track commentating the game. I've watched it a
It was
few
a
times.
great game.
No, I remember that game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can barely even hear your voice though. It was like
Yeah, that was me. My voice being a lot higher pitched than it is now, as well as the equipment we had at the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've grown a lot. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
What
I
you're
guess I was more so saying just the crowd, but I mean, yeah, if you want to
yeah.
go that way too, we could go that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think getting that kind of environment though at anything that's vital for this next year. And I think with the election, any of the candidates who wins, like they're pretty set, they're pretty determined. I think we can actually make some changes in that aspect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We talked about it a lot last week on the podcast with Alec Padilla. He was the VP this year, and he was talking about how ever since COVID, things have been off. So, what was your experience with COVID here at Mount Carmel, and have you seen student morale change over the years?
It's kind of hard to tell because I was only able to experience about, 2/3 the school year before it was shut down.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my freshman year. So I guess I'm more used to post-COVID Mount Carmel, if you will. But I think, Carmel did a great job coming out of the pandemic of just getting us back in school as fast as they could. I think we were the only school, maybe in the whole city, that was in class full time my sophomore year.
I think you're right. Yeah,
So
we're the
that-
first to go back.
That was great for me. I loved being back at Carmel, but it definitely is different. I know, student traditions, when it's just held by the students, it can easily fall through. Like some of the traditions that my brothers would talk about have kind of changed since I've been here. But I think just, making, even though there is a lot of traditions, making fresh ideas and having just new ideas. I know it used to be called Just Because games. I know that has changed into something different now. So it's like, more ideas can just, for more student organization, or not more student organizations, just, organizing students for more pep rallies and stuff like that. I think just, when it comes to the elections and then when it comes to student body president, I'm sure all four of the guys are great. Whoever does, come up, hopefully is very zealous for the position and
Mhm.
can create a lot of buzz around, for the students and can create a lot of good, energy that the students can to bring student morale up, which would be great. But I know it's changed a lot, but I still love, Mount Carmel for what it is, and I know that whoever does, come into power as student body president next year, I'm sure they'll do a great job.
Yeah, Matt, to add on that, I kind of, obviously my brother went here. He's practically 8 years older than me. So even like the Carmel I saw growing up, or I guess my expectations of Carmel before I got here were very different from how I am experiencing it now. And I think like right now, the way I'm experiencing it is awesome,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I guess maybe it's just like the, kind of the anticipation of high school, what you really think high school is versus how it is different. But I definitely remember like my first real impression of Carmel, other than like fight night, was probably like talking to like Coach Seagroves at like a big assembly. He's like the
Yeah.
first guy I ever really met that when I was like really considering like, okay, this could be where I go to high school. And for me, Seagroves was the guy that sold it. Like, you meet this guy, he's like, if someone's not looking up or paying attention, like he calls you out, like he kind of goes at you face to face in like a demanding tone, demanding manner, and it kind of like wakes you up, like whoa, like.
Yeah, it's that
You
tough
know,
love for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But I mean, just like the way his passion, I guess, for the school, and just the way he came off was like, all right, like this is the type of school I want to go to.
Oh, no, definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah, I had an early experience with Mr. Seagroves as well. I know he's athletic director now, but I'm telling you, he did a great job for admissions.
Yeah.
I know he was really passionate about that as well, which is I think a lot of people at Mount Carmel are really passionate about that, which is great. But being a Mount Carmel family, I've been here. I only went to school here 4 years, of course, but I've been here a lot longer than that. I remember walking into a tour night. I think it was a tour night. Maybe it was kind of like more like a freshman orientation thing. I was walking in with my mom, and Mr. Seagross comes up to us immediately. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah blah blah, and he was talking to us. But then he started talking to us about another student who at Mount Carmel who's considering transferring out, and how he wanted us to maybe talk to him and talk to him about Mount Carmel life and stuff like that. So even though I wasn't even a student at Mount Carmel yet, he was already talking to me about reaching out and keeping Mount Carmel alive in a different family, which is great. So I thought that was hilarious, and of course we were fine with that because my mom has been at Mount Carmel forever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she's been here. She's in that mode, even though I was just going into my freshman year. But Mr. Seagross, he did a great job in missions, and I'm sure being AD, he's doing a great job as well.
Yeah. Yeah. What was your first real experience
Oh,
of Carmel,
gosh.
Matt? I mean, obviously you grew up around it your whole life, but when you actually knew oh, I'm going here. What was your first kind of eye opener, I guess, if you will?
I heard about it a lot, obviously. Just growing up with my grandpa, Frank O'Connor. But I think after he passed away, we were at a family party, and my grandma and then my grandma's sister, my great aunt, they sat me down, and they just talked about it. They just talked about the school, and seeing it from their perspective, right? They weren't students here. They had sons and husbands that were involved with the school, so they come from a completely different place, and they were still extremely passionate about it. And then I shadowed, but I still think back to that moment a lot about my grandma and my great aunt Peg just talking to me about the school. I wasn't even at Carmel. It was just at a family party, and I think it was probably St. Patrick's Day or something. Just them simply talking about it. So, yeah, that was probably the first time I was like, yeah, this is probably where I'm headed, right?
Yeah.
Because I know I've talked a little bit about it, but my dad went to Marist, and my grandpa went to Marist. He was in the first graduating class there. So there was Marist hats and hoodies and sweatshirts and stuff. And I remember I went to a lot of Marist basketball games because I think they had a few good years there.
Yeah.
They made a
Oh, yeah.
run. Yeah. So I remember going to a lot of those games. But then I came here with my grandpa a lot. But yeah,
Yeah.
that moment with my grandma and my great aunt definitely sticks with
Yeah.
me.
It's funny you bring that up, Maris basketball, because before I was really set on Carmel, the biggest thing for my friends and I were just going to the Marist Rice games every year, and that was
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
what we would look forward to.
Yeah. I still enjoy those.
Oh,
yeah.
they're great. I mean, they're great games. Yeah, and I know Marist is kind of rebounding their program right now, which is good to see because you want to see those rivalry games to kind of
Mhm.
keep up. That's without Brother Rice, there's no Marist. Without Rita, there's no Carmel.
Exactly.
You could go on, but yeah, I remember growing up those. I mean, those gyms, you had to get there an hour before, it seemed
Yeah.
like.
That's what I want the Cacciatore Center to
Oh,
look
yeah.
like. But
Mhm.
obviously, it's going to take a lot of people to fill up our gym here. It's a lot bigger, but I know exactly what you're talking about. That energy is
Yeah.
wild, yeah. We
Yeah.
want that at every game, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's something. But,
And, I mean, from an announcer standpoint too, I feed off of that so much.
Mhm.
Marty Mann, who announces basketball with me, he talks about it so much where it's you walk in a gym and the people sitting in the stands can hear you. That is not the position you want to be in. You want to
Yeah.
be in a position where you have to talk so loudly you're talking over the crowd. Marty
Definitely.
talks about that a lot. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of crowds, you probably went to a few basketball games this year for U of I. I mean, they had a great season.
Oh,
How was
yeah.
that experience with the basketball run they made?
They did have a great season. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to a single basketball game. They were almost
Really?
completely sold out every
Yeah.
time.
I can see
And
that.
for Illinois, you have to have there's student season tickets.
Yeah.
And for basketball, in order to get first dibs at that, you have to have football season tickets as well.
Oh
So there's
my
a whole
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
chain that goes off of that. But I went to a few football games. Football program not as good as the basketball program at
Yeah.
Illinois.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I'll be
Yeah.
the first to admit that, which I think everyone can admit that.
Yeah.
But it was great seeing their run for basketball. I watched, almost every game at the Evans house, and so having other scholars there with me was just a good environment in and of itself. And Illinois basketball did have a great run, but I actually was at the State Farm Center for the Carmel semifinals
There
for
we go.
state,
Yeah.
and that was a great time just being around, Carmel parents again and Carmel families, and seeing the Carmel basketball team on the court was a great experience for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just talking, man. That season, our season we had. I played on the team. That I was
Mhm.
I was a
Yep.
good practice player. I'll say that. And but we played our roles. I mean, we were stacked this year. Like everything just clicked, and
That's why you went down there.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's something I'll never forget. Like that's definitely one of my favorite experiences I've ever had. That, and then the winter tournament we went to
Oh,
down
yeah.
in Pekin, Illinois, which is kind of by Peoria, Central Illinois. That was awesome, man. Just like the bond that we kind of like strengthened. We'd play games. We'd have a couple games during the day, and then at night after all our team meetings and film, we'd set up like mini basketball hoops in the hotel room and like move all the furniture and just do that for a couple hours and like
Mhm.
just some of the memories we made. Like it was just a great season.
Yeah.
And hoping to replicate some of that next year too.
Definitely.
I know, Kevin, that's probably an interesting experience for you too. You came into Carmel with DeAndre Craig. I went to grammar school with him. I always looked up
Mhm.
to him as like, wow, that guy's like, he's crazy. Like I would watch him on the court and stuff. And in my opinion, like when he started playing, like the program in general kind of made like an upwards trend. I think just like his talent kind of attracted like a lot of guys to come here and kind of build around him. And obviously, Angelo coming in right after him. Um, just
Yeah.
that's a great run right there.
This year has been incredible for sports. While a couple seasons have just recently ended, baseball just had their tournament. The Stephen Bajenski tournament, they beat Rita 2-1, and volleyball plays in the regional championship tomorrow. I'm on the team, so I'm hoping we win. But
There we go.
lacrosse lost on Monday, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But Kevin, you were a part of the program. What was that like? Just being a part of that with Coach McGuire.
Yeah, no. Mount Carmel lacrosse, I had a great time. I started lacrosse very, late for a lacrosse player. I started my freshman year, and then the season got shut down with COVID, of course, right? Like everything. But Mount Carmel lacrosse was a very good experience for me. I had a lot of fun. Even though I was like a second line midfielder, I didn't get much playing time. I still just had an absolute blast at practice, and it was just a new experience for my family and just for me, and kind of learning everything in this like complex, smaller, not really too well understood sport was a great experience. And Mount Carmel made it a lot easier to learn that. I know some more competitive programs, especially like maybe at like Loyola. Those programs are really competitive, and you can't just like pick up the sport and learn it and kind of run with it from there. You kind of have to be a lacrosse player before that, and to be able to have that experience beforehand to make the team. So playing for Mount Carmel was a lot of fun, and it is a smaller sport, not as watched to at Mount Carmel, which I'm used to. I ran cross country, and then I did track for a little bit as well before I actually kind of in the middle of my lacrosse experience. So that wasn't different for me, but I had a lot of fun playing lacrosse. It is definitely a fun sport. It's not a sport that too many people are familiar with, but Coach McGuire made it easy to pick it up, and I had a great time. Even riding the bench and being there for the games, even getting
Yeah.
that 1 or 2 minutes of playing time every once in a while. Hey, I had a great experience.
Yeah, I might be going off on a little tangent here, but
Go
Mhm.
ahead.
everybody has a welcome to Mount Carmel story, right? Everybody has that story where early on when they're a freshman, something happens and you're like, I love this school. Billy McHugh. He played lacrosse
He
with
did.
Oh yeah.
Billy McHugh came into my history class my freshman year, super early on, right? I knew like 5 kids in my class, right? I know all of them now, but back then I was scared to talk to anybody.
Mhm.
And we were doing a project, and so we were sitting at this table, and Billy walks in and he goes, Mr. Messino, what's up? And Billy walks over and he's saying hi to the guys, and he comes over around to my table. He's like, "What project you guys working on?" And he sits down in a chair, and I start explaining to him what he's doing. He takes his shoes off. I go, "Billy, what's going on?" He takes his sock off, puts his foot on the desk, and he says, "What's wrong? What's up? Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing so much?" Billy was hilarious. Like, I remember that guy. I remember watching him play lacrosse too. He went off to Long Island University. Just wrapped up his season there, and he played with Timmy as well, his younger brother, who I'm
Yes.
sure you know. So the McHugh brothers are like, you know, like they're instated in the lacrosse program here at Mount Carmel.
I like to
yeah.
think so. It was an
Yeah.
absolute blast playing with them. They brought an energy that although there is a lot of, good energy and a lot of zeal for sports at Mount Carmel, I thought it was practically unmatched, the energy that those two, particularly Billy, brought to the program. So that was a really good experience playing with him, and he was a seriously good player,
Yes.
especially on defense. Very,
Yes.
very scary. Very scary to play against him, but he was an athlete, and I had a great time playing with him. Yeah, like I said, the energy just blew me away. Definitely got me very excited for lacrosse very early on, which was huge.
Yeah, I mean, he's out playing D1 lacrosse, doing a great job with that. Timmy is out at
Illinois Wesleyan,
Illinois
yes.
Wesleyan playing there. There's a couple. Michael O'Keefe is committed to play golf there. I know it's a very big athletic program as far as like coming out of high school. I know they give a lot of authors. They're national champs in a lot of stuff. I know like certain brackets or whatever divisions, whatever you want to call it. So Timmy's doing great there. Shout out to Sean though. Sean
Yeah.
McHugh is the youngest brother,
Mhm.
and he came to me when he was a freshman and was like, "I want to film the games." And I was, for the broadcast group for the football games. And he came and he did a great job. And he plays lacrosse too, so he's kind of upholding that tradition of the McHugh family in the program. So he's
For
still on
sure.
the team now. Yeah,
Mhm.
whenever he runs out there in the field and gets a couple minutes, I've talked to Ryan Clark about this, who is on the team as well. It's awesome to see that family tradition continue. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, just to wrap up soon here though, you are also the youngest, kind of like Sean, in
I
a
am.
long line of Jacobs that came here to Mount Carmel.
Mhm.
So what was it like graduating, being the student body president, and kind of just knowing that you were wrapping it up for your family in a way?
It was a really satisfying experience at graduation. At Rockefeller Chapel, I've been there before for my brother's graduation, and it was super cool being there, in the pews as a graduate. It was really satisfying to kind of wrap that up. I like to say I was a little bit more prepared, just in general going into Carmel, but of course every experience, no matter what year you come into Carmel at, it's always going to be different. But hearing all the stories of Mount Carmel before, and then coming and making my own stories, making my own path, it was a really great experience. And I hear all these, when they're telling stories, I hear these teachers' names being thrown around. Now there's only a few of them still left. At Carmel, some real legacy teachers here, but seeing the new one, seeing the having that experience with the new teachers that my brothers didn't have, and being able to, of course, have that unique experience was still a great time at Carmel, even though I wasn't going through the same exact thing that they were going through. But it was great as well with the family being recognized at my graduation, because we had we had 4 or more boys graduate, and I was the youngest, so that was a really good experience as well. All my brothers were there except my brother Andrew, who couldn't make it, but it was super satisfying being that last brother for the family, and
Yeah.
being able to wrap up that Mount Carmel experience, and in a positive way. I made my own path, and I did things that they didn't do, so proved them wrong, even though I was the youngest. I'm doing
Right.
my own thing, but it was a great experience, doing that at Mount Carmel and being able to be that last boy to come through for the family.
Yeah, I don't have any brothers myself, so
Yeah.
Christos, you can relate.
I
Though.
yeah, no, I remember I remember Nick going through Carmel. Coach McGuire was actually, they were like best friends at Carmel. Every time I
could see
walked
that,
by,
yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
"How's the truth?" That's what they would call.
His
That's
nick-
his
yeah.
rap name or part of it, anyways. And but yeah, he definitely had a very different experience at Carmel than me. Just his interests in general. He made a lot of clubs. He made like a poetry slam club and an open mic club and a drone club when they had that. Nick was one of the first guys to kind of be there when they started that, and then I remember being at Rockefeller. Like you said, it's kind of it was kind of long ago for me though, like 8 years ago. I'm trying to remember. I do remember being there, but it's like I guess it's a different feel. You had many brothers there, just Nick for me. So it's interesting, very interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a year out from graduation, so we're not quite where you are, Kevin, but
Yeah.
we're hoping to get there soon.
Definitely.
Wrapping up, next year's going to be big with college and things like that and scholarships. Congrats again on the Evans. I mean, I know you got it a year ago, but that's truly an amazing thing.
It's
to
awesome.
Yeah,
It is. It is a great community, the Evans Scholars, and they make my college experience a lot easier, and of course the financial aspect of it as well is
Oh yeah.
just amazing. But my family's super grateful for the Evans Scholarship, and I'm happy to see more of the caravan get Evans scholarships. So that's great to see.
Yeah, well, Kevin, thank you for coming back. I know you spent a lot of your time at Champaign, but you always find your way back to Dante here. So thanks for hopping on Built on Dante, and good night, Chicago.
Well,
course.
one more thing, Matt, too. Going back to volleyball game. If you're listening, volleyball game tomorrow, Thursday, at De La Salle at 5:30.
Let's go.
Gonna try and get a bit of a crowd there. So if you can make it, we'd love to see you there for our boys
Yeah.
as they play Whitney Young for the regional.
We have lost to them in the regional championship 2 years in a row now. So one time here at home and then the other out at Jones. So we are really
Third
looking
time's
to
a
get
charm,
away.
man.
Yeah,
Third
exactly.
Need
time's
the
a charm.
caravan to come out and support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking for a big crowd tomorrow. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Kevin, thank you for coming by.
Definitely. Thank you for having me, fellas.
Take care.